Right, let's get this out of the way. I am not a laser expert. I'm a beginner hobbyist trying to be informative to other beginner hobbyists. This is literally my second laser machine, and the first one, absolute garbage. You didn't need to be an expert to know that. It was so bad its product name is now often used as a punchline in laser circles. That's how I got started. But now I've got the Falcon A1 Pro, and would you believe it, this one actually worked. Not only did it work, I enjoyed it. I powered it up, ran some jobs, and genuinely had a good time. I've made some cool stuff already, even though I've barely etched the surface. And yeah, pun intended. Now this thing is incredibly easy to use once you work out how to use it. There is some learning to do. But honestly, someone actually said on one of my recent Creality printer reviews that Creality aren't a printer company, they're a laser company. And after using this and speaking directly with some of the team behind it, yeah, I can see that. This is one of the best Creality products I've ever used, and I only have a prototype. And the main upgrades over the base A1, and that being a jump from 10 watt to 20 watt on the diode laser, along with the inclusion of an IR module too, yeah, that's impressive. So let's take a look at Creality finally starting to get it. And let's hope that this is a sign of a new direction from the brand. Hi, I'm Ross, and this is Fohammer Videos. Now, I expect since I'm new to lasers on my channel, many of you who are into lasers are probably new to me. So this bit's for you as an introduction. I'm not about reading the spec sheet and saying, this one's amazing, they're all amazing, buy it, use my affiliate link. I'm more of a, here's all the nits I can pick with it whilst working in a few dad jokes. Look, my goal is you now have your expectations set realistically rather than just what the brand tells you in order to inflate it. And if that's useful to you and you still want the thing, I would appreciate you using my affiliate link. Yeah, first I'm going to read the spec sheet. So this is the Falcon A1 Pro. It's a laser engraver that comes with a 20 watt blue diode head and a quick swap in 2 watt infrared laser for metals, plastics and ceramics. It's got a built-in top-down camera for previews, Wi-Fi, air assist and an extraction hose as standard. And it even has add-on accessories you can buy. I got the honeycomb plate, but you can also get a rotary attachment that's available too. So buy this one, it's the best. Click my affiliate link. Right, no, seriously, with a work area of 318 by 305 millimeters, all packed within a well-built and rather attractive frame, this is a pretty stacked little box. Now for beginners like me, this is what you call a Core XY laser. Yeah, like the printers. This means that when cutting or engraving, the laser head itself moves in the X and Y dimensions and projects straight downwards at all times. On this model, the head itself can also move up and down mechanically, but that's to achieve the correct focal distance for the laser. And I'm making this distinction because it's different to the more compact, taller lasers called galvo lasers, which can usually move the laser around faster for engraving, but have a limited work area and aren't typically the best at cutting straight lines. Because with them, the further you go from the center, you're projecting the laser at an angle. Setup of this is incredibly easy. It's literally take it out of the box and remove the packaging. The only assembly I had to do wasn't even really assembly. You just plug in and attach the control screen on the right hand side. Now this is the first nit because it does feel a bit flimsy, almost like it's asking to be easily knocked or snapped off. All of the ports for this are on the back right hand side at the bottom, which includes the power and rocker switch, the interface and hose inlet for the separate small compressor, and that's used for air assist. It's got a 6-pin interface for the rotary tool along with 2 USB-C ports, one to connect to an external computer and another to plug in external devices like USB drives. And you actually get a USB-C to A adapter in the box, just no drive, you've got to get that yourself. There's also a lock in the bottom back corner, and without a key in here, the device simply cannot be turned on. And so if you need to protect other people in your house from using it, trying to have fun, yeah, just take the key out. And if there's an emergency during use, the e-stop is directly accessible on the right hand side of the machine. And unlike other lasers I've tested recently, this one works. And it also advertises built-in Wi-Fi, which is lovely, until it drops out and doesn't automatically reconnect to anything. Mine kept disconnecting constantly during the camera calibration process, and that was quite a problem because if it cuts out mid-calibration, you're starting all over from scratch. My first calibration attempt took me over an hour when it should have taken 5 minutes. And for some reason, there's no Ethernet port on this, none. Why is this still a thing in 2025? Every connected tool I own seems to be allergic to Ethernet. And I think that's important realistically. This is a device that kind of expects a computer to be connected directly at all times, at least to get the best out of it anyway. And whilst USB-C may sound modern, it's a problem if your computer isn't a laptop or isn't nearby. USB-C has strict limits on how long the cable can be before the signal craps out, so you'll need an active USB data repeater cable if you're actually trying to run this more than a few meters from your machine. I had to go out and buy a 10-meter one, and this one works, so I'll link it in the description. And yeah, it will be an affiliate link. Everything I'm going to post is going to be an affiliate link. That's how I fund the channel. Right, let's talk airflow. Now, as I said, this unit comes with a small air compressor and it hooks up via a cable and hose to blow through the laser head, and this helps push away soot and debris and prevent scorch marks. It works fine, sounds like a Smurfs running around with a leaf blower. It's standard stuff. Now for smoke extraction, there's an exhaust outlet to connect ducting and ideally vent outside. Now I don't have an external setup yet, I'm working on it, but Creality have also sent me their indoor smoke filter. Now I have to point out, this isn't the correct model for the A1 or the A1 Pro. They're actually working on a new one, but they sent this so I had something to work with, and we were able to get it working well enough for me to do my testing, at least for now, before I get a proper extraction, aircon and HVAC system set up in my workshop in the coming weeks. So massive thanks, Creality. Right, let's move on to the fun, not fun part. The camera. Now the A1 Pro's top-down camera sounds like magic. The idea is snap a pick of items on the bed, drop your artwork into place, hit go, perfect placement, right? Yeah? No. Before you do anything, you have to calibrate the camera with a dot pattern card that you get in the box. Now the app says move it around to 9 different places, the wiki makes it less clear, and it all needs to be in one place based on the images. And when you're doing it, it can be hard based on the lighting in your room and the glare inside the machine from its own lights. I even tried to disconnect them at one point just to get it working. But it was while on a call with Creality that we were just having, I actually made it a point to get them to confirm I wasn't doing it wrong. Yes, you are meant to move it, but you're also meant to manually tweak the contrast slider until the software detects it properly and gives you a high rating. And no, none of this is explained clearly in the instructions or the wiki. But even after that, you've then got to engrave 4 crosses, align them in the software, but still, your preview won't directly match unless you set manual offsets. And even then, I could only line up either the center or the edges, never both. And it's important to know that this only works when engraving an object at a particular height, and you also need to do this for different platforms, so the bed itself and if you've got the honeycomb plate in. So for each of those scenarios, you've got to go through this calibration multiple times to engrave materials that are different heights. And it's sort of like increments of 1 to 2 or even 3 millimeters that you've got to do it again. It's fine if you're only ever really going to engrave thin things, but if you're ever doing anything taller, you're going to have to muck about if you want to use this feature. But even then, right now, you've just got to be aware that this still isn't super accurate. Maybe they've got some more work to do in the back end, but yeah, don't expect this to just be snap a picture and drop everything perfectly in place. Maybe that's something that more experienced laser users just know as standard. But yeah, it's a powerful feature in theory. What I tend to do is still, before I engrave anything, just do a small initial test mark and then compensate manually every time. But honestly, general newbie question here, if every camera in every one of these is in the same spot for everyone who buys an A1, why can't it just be calibrated from the factory? What? Why? Right, software. Yes, it works with Lightburn if you're up for spending £90 on a license. That's a very powerful laser program, incredibly powerful, even if it looks like it was designed for Windows 98. The manual also mentions Laser GRBL if you're more into freeware. But out of the box, you get Creality's own Falcon design suite, and, well, as somebody who's used a lot of Creality software, this isn't awful, at least once you get the hang of it. It is a more beginner-friendly tool. You take a snapshot of your bed. Yes, it's not that accurate, but you take a snapshot, drop in your design, line it up, cross your fingers, click autofocus and hit engrave or start. And the autofocus feature is pretty cool. There's a secondary laser pointer coming from the front right corner of the machine that projects onto the center of the bed. Simply put whatever material you're using under that spot, and it'll measure the height of what you're engraving to determine the height that the laser head needs to get to so that the correct focal point is on the surface of that material. It's simple, it's intuitive, and it works. And the thing with having their own software, yeah, it's handy, it's a good thing, but they've also done the thing that we're seeing in 3D printers. It puts their marketplace called CraftSeek front and center. Every time you open it, it's in your face. And right now, it's got an incredibly limited number of files, and honestly, it feels like a beta that they just slipped out early. Now, if they maintain it, it might be useful. Right now, it's just a bit meh. So if you know good sources that you can get laser files, please drop them in the comments. The software's got features like Smart Fill, and that's to duplicate designs across multiple objects automatically. Yeah, doesn't work. And there's also a companion phone app. It mirrors most of the functions of the main app, and that means that you could buy this and yeah, do quite a lot in a mobile app. Then we come onto the machine's UI itself. I would describe this as passable, but again, there's obviously just no real user experience designed to speak of. If you start a job remotely, as you're most likely to do, the device's screen just sits there. It doesn't show you a preview, no progress bar, no countdown timer to say roughly when it'll be done, and even something as simple as sending the laser head to the home position, you don't have a separate movement menu. The movement menu is hidden inside the job preparation menus. This whole thing does exist, it does work, but it feels like someone duct taped features to a template and called it a day. All in all, when it comes to software, in my experience, this whole thing just feels very Creality. Now, where premium brands wouldn't release a feature until it's 95 or 99% done, Creality have frequently been more than happy to release features at 70% done. And from my experience with them in 3D printing, they may come back and improve it later, with emphasis on the may. Honestly, a lot of the development I've seen in their previous apps are dependent on how much people are whinging about the problems. Right, safety features. We've already covered the key lock and the emergency stop, but what about optical safety? You know, the stuff that stops you going blind. Now, after my last laser review, I got a ton of comments warning me that some brands use cheap plastic shields and glasses that may not block laser light properly. So I asked Creality directly, and they told me, and I need to put the emphasis on this is what they told me. Just like the A1, the A1 Pro is a certified Class 1 device for both the diode and infrared lasers. Now, from what I've looked at, Class 1 means that it's safe under normal use because of the shielding and interlocks that shut it down if the doors are open. And I've tested it, that works. Open the door, it shuts off. But what I've also come to learn is that at bare minimum, Class 1 only implies that the orange cover is OD3+ rated, meaning it's got an optical density rating of 3+, and that should block 99.9% of laser light. But then I actually spoke directly with a guy called Kobe Schmidt, an awesome guy that I also referenced in my last video, somebody who's an experienced laser user and has his own channel. I learned from him that most recommended safety glasses for this kind of work, whether it's hobby or professional, are OD6 rated, offering way more protection. Now, since I'm new to lasers, whilst I was doing this review, I got a little bit overfueled by all the comments I had, combined with my own anxieties, and I had a pretty big scare whilst working with this. So one day, whilst I'm using it, my vision suddenly started to go blurry. I panicked and I went straight to the opticians. These guys, gotta say, awesome people. And they gave me an OCT scan and a normal eye test. Turns out my prescription's completely changed and I should have had one 3 years ago. But anyway, they clearly explained to me how this test worked, what I could see, and thankfully, no laser damage. Phew. It turns out the blurring was most likely because all I'd had for breakfast that day was 3 coffees. Anyway, this has still put enough in my mind for me to say that yeah, from now on, I'm going to be wearing and recommending anyone who gets one of these gets proper certified OD6 rated glasses every time you use it. And I'll put links to what I buy in the description. Yeah, they're not going to be cheap, but they're probably cheaper than new eyeballs. So after playing with this for a while, here's the verdict. As far as laser engravers go, this is the best one I've ever used. Yeah, but that's out of 2. Now looking round, for the price and features compared to what else is out there, I'll say yeah, it's decent. It works, the hardware's sturdy, and even with the silly hurdles, it is pretty straightforward to use. It's solid, powerful, and packed with features, and honestly, it's incredibly fun. But like everything else I've ever used from Creality, it also feels like it was released at 80% complete. It's not bad. In many ways, I'd even describe it as good, very good. It's just so obviously somewhere between unrefined and unfinished. And based on my experience with the brand, I'm just not confident that it ever truly will be. Just like all of their 3D printers, I'm always acutely aware of how many simple things could be easily improved. It's almost death by a thousand cuts. It works great, but everything around it software-wise just feels like low effort, minimum viable product. But if you are looking at one, it can work okay for beginners. You'll probably need a little bit of support beyond what they give, so Facebook groups, forums and the like, but it also depends on your affinity to tech. Someone could pick this up and get it working in 5 minutes, someone could scratch their head for a week. And the thing is, that's just with their software. Get Lightburn involved and you can push this to be a pretty advanced and powerful machine too, considering how compact and tidy it is. So honestly, it works. I've made a load of fun things on it, and the truth is, I don't want to stop. I actually don't want to move this off my desk. I want to move on to learning Lightburn and unlocking even more power from this than what I currently have. But the thing is, I do have other products to review. That's now my job. I have other things to move on to. But this genuinely is the first time in a long time that I don't want to go to work tomorrow and play with the next shiny toy. I want to keep playing with this. Is there a better device out there? No idea. Ask me again in 6 months when I've reviewed 3, 4, 5, 7 more of them. But I can say I've enjoyed it. And from Creality, this is actually one of the best things I think I've ever touched of theirs. Anyway, I want to say thanks for watching me rant and ramble. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure I got some useful info over to you somewhere in there anyway. But yeah, thanks for watching, with a huge thanks going to our members who are on screen now. Please consider joining them. They get their name in the credits along with early access and exclusive videos and Discord roles too. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, I'm Flying Jack. Fohammer out.